Good afternoon. Today I'll be presenting CoffeeScript. As an introduction, CoffeeScript was designed by Jeremy Ashkenaz. You can see his photo on the right of the screen in 2019. CoffeeScript is a language which compiles to JavaScript. It was designed by Jeremy for people who hated the JavaScript syntax. So you basically write your code in CoffeeScript and it compiles it to JavaScript automatically. And it gets JavaScript code done faster with less code. Moving on to the strengths of CoffeeScript. CoffeeScript is used anywhere JavaScript is utilized, and it also has the ability to use JavaScript libraries in your CoffeeScript code. CoffeeScript is more or less synthetic sugar of JavaScript, meaning it's shorter and easier to read than actual JavaScript code. It takes three main attributes from three other commonly used languages. It takes from Ruby its string interpolation. Interpolation means it is the insertion of something of a different nature into something else, meaning you can add a string to string, for example, normally, but in C++, for example, you have to use a function and a certain library to do so. Another advantage of using CoffeeScript is its Python-style comprehension. Python-style comprehension is basically a way of writing a concise code block to guarantee a sequence which can be a list, dictionary, set, or whatever, by using another sequence. And there are four types of comprehensions in Python, which is list, dictionary, set, and generator comprehensions. Most of the time, they are very elegant, concise, and even can improve the readability of the code. And another pro is that Haskell, the property of Haskell's binding variables, meaning that it binds a value to a name like Haskell does. Another strength is that it makes good JavaScript code even better, meaning that, like mentioned above, it's the synthetic sugar. It makes it shorter and it takes less time to code. And it's also easier to read due to the Python indentations. It also has unvaried autoscope variables and easier syntax, just as the example states in blue. For example, in CoffeeScript, you use unless x, not if x not equal x, if whatever variable is not equal x. Okay, some of the weaknesses of CoffeeScript is that it's very polarizing, meaning people usually really like it or really hate it, depending on how good they are in Ruby, Python, and Haskell. They have really vague syntax error messages when compiling errors occur. They also have compatibility issues because they constantly update their softwares, their compiler versions, meaning that if you write a code, for example, if you have written a code 2 years ago and you compile it with the same with a different compiler, you can have a different JavaScript output. And another weakness is that it's not very popular in the language community. So this would be my outline for the final presentation. I will do an intro, mention major features, 3 major feature details. I'll write a 100-line code and explain it. I'll write the cons of, I'll mention some of the cons and some of the challenges I faced in my CoffeeScript language experience, and I'll conclude with a recommendation. Thank you. And these are some of my references.